Make sure you don't become a financial burden on your children. When you get to your 60s, your 70s, your 80s and thereabout, make sure you are not a financial burden on your children. You can hardly see an Italian that will complain that the parents are financial burden to them. In our case in Africa, you will have to take care of yourself, your wife, your children, your mother, your father and your siblings. This becomes a very heavy burden on you. So you should also do everything possible not to also become a financial burden on your children. Now you left, let's say you left Africa at age 30 or 35. There is no plan that the government will pay you pension in that country. Now you came to Italy, you spent 15 years. You are also living Italy, for America, for Canada, for UK. There is also no plan that the Italian government will pay you pension. Now the UK you are going to, the Canada you are going to, there's also high possibility that you are not going to meet the pension requirement, because since you've been traveling from one country to another, and you're also increasing in age, so you might not meet the pension requirement of that country. That is to say, as a person, there is no plan of you receiving pension from anywhere, and this might make you become a financial burden to your children. I know as Africans we will say, no, God forbid, God forbid, before I get to 60 years I will build a very big hotel in Lagos. That is where I'll be getting money to take care of myself when I'm old. I will build a very big complex in Ghana. That is where I'll be taking money to take care of myself. All these things are very easy to say. It is very easy for you to say you will build a skyscraper. Yes, everybody can say it, but these things are just insinuation. They are not yet a reality. But one thing that is sure, that is making the Italians not to become burden on their children, is what we call pension. I know some of you will say, no, you are not interested in pension, but just relax and watch this video. The Italian government has made it easy. They said if you can at least work for 20 years, you will be qualified for this pension. So if you work for 20 years in this country and you want to relocate back to Nigeria, you want to relocate back to America, there is no problem. But at least try and work for at least 20 years in this country. So when you go to Nigeria, when you relocate to Canada, America, immediately you become 67 years of age, you can come back to Italy and apply for that minimal pension, and the government will be paying you at least between 600 euros to 1,002. Just imagine you having a father now that is receiving 1,000 euros every month. Will that father ever become a financial burden on you? The answer is no. So before you relocate, make sure at least you've worked in this country for about 20 years. For those who don't also want to relocate, also make sure you've worked for about 20 years, or you will work for about 20 years. I know most of us, about 80% of Africans in this country, might not be qualified for the full pension, which is supposed to be approximately 42 years of work, because some of us came to this country at the age of 40, at the age of 35. So it becomes very difficult for you to work for another 42 years. So most of us will not be qualified for the full pension, but we might be qualified for the minimal pension, which is 20 years of work. So I've seen a lot of people that have worked 15 years, 16 years, immediately they become Italian citizens. Immediately they get their citizenship, they take their passport and they relocate. Why not just calm down and work for additional 5 years, and work additional 4 years, and work additional 3 years, so that you'll be able to work that 20 years. You will just leave it there. That will be a guarantee for you when you become 67, 70 years, 80 years, and you will not have to disturb your children for any financial support. How does this minimum pension work? There's a full pension and there's a minimum pension. The full pension, you are supposed to work for approximately 42 years. Then for the minimum pension, you are supposed to work for minimum of 20 years. So we'll be talking about this 20 years on, because this is what most of us we qualified for in this country based on the age we were when we came to this country. Now for the minimum pension, which is supposed you're supposed to work for 20 years before you be qualified for that type of pension. So when you work for 20 years, that contribution is already there. It's not as if the government will start paying you pension from that moment. No. Then you must have to get to 67 years before the government will start paying you. So you that want to relocate, or you that want to stop that work that you are doing, and maybe the work is so tedious, you want to stop it, or one or two things, you just try and continue, because if you stop it now, you might no longer be qualified for this minimal pension. So if you've been able to work for that 20 years, you just leave it with the government. So you can go back to Nigeria, you can go back to Ghana, you can go back to anywhere you want to go to. So when you get to 67 years, you come back and you apply for your minimal pension, and the government will be paying you between 600 and 1,002, depends on the contribution you made in that 20 years. So somebody that is paying a tax of 500 euros today, and the person that is paying a tax of about 300 today, they will not collect the same pension. Definitely one will be higher. So it is between 600 and 1,002. So with this, I think it will be impossible for you to still become burden on your children. I know you want to build an hotel. I know you have other plans to take care of yourself when you get old, but those plans are just plans and they are not reality for now. The only thing that is sure, it's your pension that the government will give it to you. So when you've applied, when you get to 67 years, you come to this country and you apply, you can still decide to go back to anywhere you want to go to. You can be in Nigeria while you are still receiving that money every month till you pass away. It's not as if maybe you must be in this country to be enjoying your pension. No, you can apply for the pension in this country. You can go back to your country while they will still be paying you until you pass away. So please, before you rush away from this country, before you stop that job, make sure you've worked for about 20 years. Thank you and God bless you.